My name's Jeff, and I was a cop for 30 years. Homicide mostly. Now I live alone in this rundown RV park just outside of town. It is a lot quieter out here, and it suits me fine. It's supposed to be different, though. It was our dream to travel, my wife and I. We sold everything, bought this old rig, to set out and see the world. That never happened. She passed away 4 months before I retired. Doctors say COVID complications killed her. Bullshit. She was strong. And I've seen death 1,000 times, and that wasn't natural. Anyway, here I am. It isn't that bad here. I fish most mornings. I got a little folding chair that I park right by the lake. And the fishing spots, boy, the best you'll find without driving for hours. You see, some mornings, if the fog sits just right, I sit by the water with my line in the lake, a cheap cup of coffee in my lap, and I see her. I see my wife. Her feet kicked up right beside me, happy, smiling, like it should be. Then the fog clears and I'm all alone again. I don't have a lot to my name, but it's enough. People often refer to me as the park's handyman. Kinda makes me feel like I still have a purpose, Funny how a man can spend 3 decades putting away killers, only to find himself fixing toilets to feel needed. After 30 years on the force, I thought I'd feel more accomplished. But the pension barely covers my groceries and fishing tackle. And no one remembers your name once you turn that badge in. I miss it. I still get the itch when I see something going wrong. I want to step in, fix things. That's who I am and what I've done. So now I fix things here. Busted pipes, oil leaks, and washers. People trust me, just like the policing days. And I need that. So this is who I am. I'm Jeff, the repairman, retired cop, and full-time fisherman. I'm just trying to take it easy, avoid chaos, and live in my bubble. But it doesn't work that way. Somehow chaos, it always finds me. It was early Saturday morning in August, and I was helping Mr. Henry. He owns the place. We were fixing up some fencing that got wrecked in the last storm. He's old and tired, just like me. So I told him to head home. I only had a few more holes to dig. I was out on the far east side of the property. Nobody goes out there. The grass is waist high, thick with mosquitoes. I was finishing on my last hole when I hit something soft. I bent down and pulled out a small shoe. The pink laces, muddy, but still intact. It was a child's shoe. Out there, it made no sense. I should have reported it. Hell, I know I should have. But I didn't. Don't ask me why. Some instinct told me to keep quiet. I tossed the shoe aside and I finished the job. Went home, cracked a beer, and watched the sunset. Just like nothing happened. Forgot all about it until that night. It was around 2 a.m. when I woke up. No dream, just wide awake. And then I heard it. Soft, deliberate. Right on my window. I got up, slipped on my Crocs, opened the door. Nothing. The air was heavy, like the fog didn't lift all the way up. I stood there, squinting into the dark. Didn't see a soul. but I felt something, like the air was watching me. I went back to bed, but I couldn't sleep. Something was tugging at me, like an old case left open. So I got dressed, grabbed my flashlight, and stepped outside. That's when I heard it. A whistle. Like someone was trying to be found. I froze. My flashlight flickered for a moment, then steadied. I followed the sound. The whistle led me past the fence line, deep into the overgrowth east of the property, where I found the shoe. But it didn't stop there. It guided me further, where the trees start to thicken and the moonlight barely touches the ground. That's when I saw her. A girl, or the outline of one. Pale, barefoot, maybe 8 or 9 years old. Her back was to me, and she didn't speak, just pointed and continued to walk. I stepped closer, heart pounding, and the air around her shimmered like heat on asphalt. Then she vanished. Gone. No sound. No trace. But I knew where to look. I walked to where she pointed, and sure enough, just past an old tree stump, I found something half buried under leaves and dirt. A child's shirt, ripped, soiled, and stained with what looked like dried blood. My gut twisted, and I dropped to my knees, brushing away the dirt. It was real, not a dream, not my grief playing tricks. I called the sheriff's office right then, told them who I was and what I found. They showed up within 30 minutes with dogs and a team. By sunrise, they found the rest. 15 feet from where I stood, in a shallow pit charred with old embers, they uncovered the remains of a child. Burnt, fragile, lost. The medical examiner said the bones likely belonged to a missing girl from a neighboring county. She vanished a few months back. No leads, no suspects, until now. And they thanked me, the sheriff, the family. Said I helped bring closure. But it didn't feel like closure, just sadness. Later that evening, I sat back in my spot by the lake, rod in hand, coffee in the other. I closed my eyes, and this time, I saw 2 chairs. She was there again, my wife, her feet up, a soft smile, and proud. And beside her was a little girl. No more pain in her eyes, just peace. They didn't speak, just sat with me, long enough to make me feel like I wasn't alone anymore. Then the fog lifted, and they were gone. I don't wear a badge anymore, but that night, in the quiet of the woods, with nothing but my instincts and a ghostly guide, I made a difference. My name is Jeff, retired cop, full-time fisherman, and sometimes even out in the middle of nowhere, justice still has its way of finding its way home. I was an officer for about 8 years before I decided to leave the badge behind and start a business. I didn't leave because I was bored of the job or chasing the money. I loved it. I still miss it at times. I would say with the badge I've changed many lives over the years, mostly for the better. Yet, it changed me also. You see, with the badge comes light and darkness, revealing tragedies that can't be forgotten. Growing up in the same town where I worked, I guess you can say I kind of lived in a bubble, blissfully unaware of what truly goes on in the shadows. There was a call back in 2022 when I was on night shift patrol that I won't forget. It was my first day back on the job after a long weekend, Sunday night, and calls were scattered. An alarm call here, a loud music call there, and then silence. My patrol sergeant was good about keeping us busy, turning slow nights into games, like the sticky note challenge. He would place a sticky note on a window of a random building in the city, and the first to find it wins a prize. It was one of those nights. Around 2 a.m., I began scanning my alley lights and spot lamps on every building I passed, slowly driving the streets focused on every bit of movement in my view. When I reached the north side of town, I approached a rundown muffler shop on my driver's side. The closer I approached, the more my stomach turned. Something felt off. When I reached the front of the building, I was almost at a crawl in the middle of the road, straining my eyes through the dirty windows and partially torn tint, and I saw something. A male figure slowly passing a large window on the far right side of the building. I paused for a second. Did I just see that? I called for an additional unit, and I maintained visual on the front door until my backup arrived. There were 4 of us, including my sergeant. When they arrived, we split up. I went to the front of the building with another officer, and the other 2 went to the back. We checked the front door. It was unlocked. The other officers in the back said the rear door was secure. It was time to go in. The second I entered the building, I was immediately hit with a coppery, metallic odor, the unmistakable smell of blood. We began calling out police as we inched our way through the building. Nothing seemed out of place in the lobby or workshop, but then we approached 2 doors. One was partially opened, and the other was closed. I used my foot to kick open the door that was partially cracked. A small bathroom. Empty. We announced ourselves one last time before I slowly started twisting the doorknob to the second door. I slung it open, and what I saw froze me. A man slumped over an office desk, and in his right hand was a Glock 17. It was clear he had been dead for some time, as rigor mortis began to set in. But who did I see in the window? In the top left corner of the office, above a filing cabinet, was a camera. I located 2 more throughout the building. I informed detectives of what I had seen. They immediately obtained a passcode from a business contact that we had on file. Sure enough, it was just him. He entered the building with a key around 6 p.m., all alone, and unalived himself. Nobody was seen on video entering the building until we showed up. And once the medical examiner arrived, a note was found in his front right pocket. It was addressed to his wife, asking her for forgiveness and hoping to reunite with her in the afterlife. Though we uncovered the grim truth, the image of that shadowy figure in the window lingered in my mind like a ghost. I had never been one to entertain the thoughts of the supernatural, but that night I began to wonder, was that figure a product of my imagination, or did it signify something deeper? A lost soul, desperate to be recognized. What do you think? Please like and subscribe for more. I hadn't always wanted to be a cop, you know. And sometimes I still wonder if this is for me. I mean, I do like helping people, and the money's okay. But some of the things you see, they linger. Things that don't leave when the shift ends. Things that don't belong in this world. My wife says I've changed. I don't laugh at dumb stuff like I used to. Horror movies don't feel like fiction anymore. And I've ruined police shows for her with all that "that'll never happen" talk. But really, it's my emotions. I've gone quiet inside. Still, but a different kind of still. I used to work in accounting for Exxon. Corporate, cushy stuff. But I loved it. Then came the layoffs, wave after wave. And when my wife got pregnant, well, I needed stability. Something recession-proof. Cop or fireman? Everyone knows cops are much cooler, right? Well, I did it. I made the jump. Now I'm 1 year and 4 months in. 3 months ago, I got a call that's been with me ever since. It was Monday night, 2:03 a.m. Quiet, like most nights out here in this patch of East Texas. I got a call of a welfare check. The mother said her son, Matthew, 23 years old, was having an episode. Now episodes, they mean different things depending on who you ask. I figured mental health, maybe drugs, probably both. When I arrived, she met me on the street. It looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her hair was pulled back, her hands were trembling, and her voice cracked with every word she spoke. She told me Matthew had been acting crazy, pacing, muttering, staring at the ground like it was whispering back to him. She said she lost track of him in the house and didn't know if he was armed. I know. I should have waited for my backup. My sergeant already gave me hell for that. But when a mom's eyes are begging you not to let her kid die, you move. The house was quiet. Too quiet. And darker than it should have been. From outside, it looked small. But inside, the shadows seemed to stretch on forever. Like the walls were alive, breathing in and out, watching me. The first time I saw it, I thought it was my mind playing tricks. Just a shape, darting through a doorway out of the corner of my eye. Then it happened again. I flipped on the lights, weak, yellow, like trying to see through fog. Nothing. When I stepped into the kitchen, the first thing I noticed was a large knife block, missing one knife. My pulse went cold. I called for another unit and moved into the dining room. And that's when I saw her. Not Matthew. A woman. Just the back of her, though. Dark hair, gray shirt, gliding past the door frame like a breeze was pulling her out of view. The mother? I shouted for her to wait outside. No response. Around this time, my partner Davis came to the front door, flashing a strobe to let me know it was him. We cleared the rest of the first floor. Nothing. And then the noise. Back in the kitchen. We sprinted over and found paper plates scattered like snow. But no one was there. Finally, upstairs, we found him. Matthew. In the game room on a big leather couch with the lights off. He was sitting in the middle, like he was waiting for us, holding something. We both drew down, gave loud, clear commands. Police, let me see your hands. Nothing. He just stared. His eyes didn't look scared. They looked done. We slowly moved to the right, and that's when Davis shouted, "Gun!" He was holding a shotgun, barrel up to his chin. Then the weirdest thing happened. He started talking, soft, like we'd already lost him. "Officer, do you ever feel like you're not in your own life anymore? Like you're watching yourself walk around, go to work, smile for people, when you really just want to disappear?" I had a job, like you. Warehouse stuff. No, it wasn't great, but it paid. I got laid off, and my girlfriend died. She had her own demons. She overdosed in her bathroom, and I found her, still warm, and her eyes were open. I don't know if I'll ever come back from that. And now she comes to me every night, just stands in that hallway, doesn't say a word. Sometimes she smiles. I used to think it was grief, like my mind was trying to cope. She's real. She's always right there. I stood there in silence. I didn't know what to say to him. I told him I understood, and that I left a good job too. That I wake up sometimes wishing I hadn't. I told him that I'm scared more often than I let on. That I lost a brother a few years back. Not the same way, but it was sudden. One day he's here, texting dumb memes, and the next, he's gone. I never got to say goodbye. Never got to tell him how proud I was of him. And Matthew looked up at me with tears on his face and said, "You're not lying to me. I can tell. Thank you, both of you. You actually tried. But I gotta go." At that moment, time froze. His body slumped like a puppet with its strings cut. And that sound, I still hear it in my dreams. I ran outside, and I found his mom in the driveway. She fell into my arms before I could say a word. I held her, and that's when I saw it. Her shirt, red, not blood, and definitely not gray. Who was the woman in the house? I pulled back, and I looked into her eyes. She had no idea who I was talking about. She swore she never went back inside. So we searched again, top to bottom, every closet, every crawl space. No sign of anyone. But here's what I can't shake. When I stepped into that game room, just before he spoke, Matthew looked right past me, right over my shoulder, and smiled. Not at me, at someone behind me. I swear on my badge, I felt a breath on the back of my neck. It's calls like that. That's why I'm like a stone now. People ask why I don't smile as much, why I drift off in the middle of dinner, why I hold my baby girl like she's glass and double check the locks before bed. It's because of that house, that look in Matthew's eyes, the sound of his voice saying thank you, the woman that wasn't supposed to be there, and the smile that wasn't for me. You see stuff like that, and something in you locks up, like it's safer not to feel. But then I ask myself, how do I change? How do I unsee it? How do I go back to who I was before? Can I even be that guy again? The one who laughed at dumb movies and didn't scan every shadow like it's alive? I don't know. But I do know that every time that radio crackles, a part of me braces for something that'll stay with me. And I think, maybe this job doesn't just protect people from the darkness. Maybe it teaches you how to carry it, quietly, alone, like a stone.